make it more appealing to females since most of the cast are females.
I think you could use a female presenter, which might make it appeal. You're going to need to make, I don't know what else you can include, because you're going to need to make it appeal a lot more to the female. You could also show some of the girl footballers and see what they've got to say about it. But I don't know how you can bring the finance side of things. Yeah.
You could have a female voiceover in it somewhere, and like what we said with Michael's idea when we had the fact that you can go to girls' football grounds as well and see if they actually get affected by it, and maybe interview a couple of the players or even the manager from the girls' side of the football team.
Like,
I don't know if it would fit, because I can't remember if she was the chairman or the owner or not, but do you remember Karen Brady, who was at Birmingham?
yeah.
So you probably mentioned something about her. Like, so I can't remember if she was the chairman or the owner or not, but I think if you include something about her and then what that, like, what effect that had on football, that'd probably be a bit more appealing to females.
And the other thing that you might want to obviously is, but it might make it too broad then, is you might want to, if you're talking about the negative impact of all this money that's going to the Premier League, you might want to then just very quickly put in something about what the equivalent, like Arsenal ladies, what their pay packet and all that sort of thing is, because that's going to be very minimal compared to a big deal with, you know, one of the big footballers. So you could get it in that way, but that might then take your documentary in a bigger different direction.
Do you think the angle I'm taking on this is, the angle I'm taking on this topic is good? Is it unbiased or is it biased?
What do you actually want, like, the audience to get from that? I don't really understand what you want us.
So they can know like how the financial issues have changed, and they make their own decision on if it's negative or positive.
I guess it is kind of an issue these days that like how footballers get paid a lot and it's too much money, and that's kind of like affecting society with the credit crunch, and how people are struggling for money, and there are loads of players that are getting a lot of money, and that also going to the financial side as well. Is that kind of? And one more thing, I was kind of confused about exactly what your unique selling point was in this. Can you explain to me what it is about this exactly?
Unique selling point.
Yeah.
So is your unique selling point that basically there hasn't been a documentary specifically about this? Is that what's unique about it? Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's fine. Also, another thing is, did you say you were going to actually broadcast on BBC One?
Did I?
I think you did, because it's meant to be on BBC Three, and what with BBC Three, you know, they actually broadcast shows and stuff like that after 7 o'clock in the evening.
BBC Three, yeah.
Does that mean you got to change your time at all? Because
No, same time.
same time. So that after 7, yeah. Okay.
From what you saw from like the presentation, do you think I'm taking a biased counter and making it more like to the negative side?
Sort of, not too much. Like, I mean, obviously, I think it's sort of taking a view that it's not a good thing. Obviously, like the money clubs spend on players now are getting bigger and bigger. But yeah, obviously, like there's still room for the people watching to make their own minds up about it, what they think. But I think it is leaning towards being a little bit biased, but not too much.
I think in a way that yeah, I think it's a good thing that you've got it right so negative, because it is quite a negative topic. It's not like there's anything really good about it. And besides, did you actually get any research of what angle people wanted to think of the documentary? Like, did they want it to be about good stuff or the negative stuff? And I think that it's quite a broad issue that's negative, and it's not really anything good to say about it.
I got like a 50-50. Some people say it is good. You should take positive sides. Because like if people buy foreign players for a lot of money, it only makes the Premier League a bit better to watch.
True.
And some people think it's bad because like the homegrown players are not getting a chance, so they won't break into the England national team.
I suppose if you want to make put an argument that it's a good thing, you could say like the players that are coming in, like like Robinho and people like that. It makes like people want to go watch more games and go to more football games and stuff and watch more. And they say it makes Premier League more popular. So like you said, that's one way of looking at it is a good thing. But obviously there's the bad side of it as well. So you can include that somewhere.
Also, it seems like you've got quite a balance of potential interviews that you want to do. So you've got fans, and you've got obviously people who work in the FA who are going to defend the pay packets maybe, and then you've got people who are maybe in lower leagues where those pay packets might be pushing them out of business sort of thing. So it seems like you've got quite a varied set of views if you get the interviews. My question would be, who will you use if you can't interview some of those people? Have you got backup ideas of who else you might want to use instead?
Yeah, because I did like the contact list, and there were some people right at the bottom. There was like backup people.
Okay, so maybe like what people who are like in lower down positions and things like that. Okay.
Also, another thing is, you said that, and I totally agree with you, I'm not saying it's wrong, that this topic is quite broad, it's open, because like, it's not really going to appeal mostly at teenagers, and it's going to appeal to most adults that are outside of 24, but that could be a problem because you know what your target audience is. So is there a way you can actually make it appeal to the target audience of 16 to 24?
I think it'll appeal to them, but I think there'll be more people that would want to watch it.
Like, for example, have 17-year-old presenter or something like that to make it quite young.
Formal and stuff.
And I think maybe go with what Michael Bryant's been saying here about, you know, and I think Abdi as well, about it stopping maybe the new homegrown younger footballers breaking into the national side or getting the big breaks in the Premiership clubs. You could maybe take that angle about what's happening with young English talent. They're not getting anywhere, so you can maybe make it based around younger players.
Any other questions?
Yeah. When you're saying you're going to make it apply to all ethnicities, how would you achieve that? How angle would you do to get that?
In my film documentary, I would like to have people doing like jobs of all ethnicities. Like, plus football is all ethnicities. It's like not like one ethnicity that watches it.
I thought it was a good idea having Richard Scudamore like getting interviewed, but do you have any like backups? So if you couldn't get him, like, because I think if you spoke to someone from the FA, that'd be really good. But I just wondered if there was anyone else from the FA in case like you couldn't get him in particular.
I haven't thought about it, but I think there's someone on my contact list.
Yeah.
Like lower down people.
I think that it's going to be quite hard for you to like, make it appeal to like females, because like us three are quite quiet in this discussion because we kind of don't really know what we're talking about, sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I did say you can have a female presenter, but I don't think that's going to make a big difference. But I don't know
Is that what you're talking about? We don't really know of it, so.
So do you think that you might need to have something in the introduction that explains?
Yeah, introduction that, yeah, so we can know what it's actually about first.
So you might need to explain a little bit about the transfer market and how that works, and maybe, you know, when you say they've been transferred for 8 million, do they get that 8 million, or do they get that all at once in a lump sum and a salary? I mean, I don't know, I haven't got a clue. So, like the girls say, that might be useful to say, well, let's give you the lowdown on what happens with transfers, so that then the girls can think, okay, and then you could even do an equivalent. This would buy you 50 pairs of Prada shoes, or so many Rolls Royces, or whatever, so that people can understand what that amount of money is, whether they're male or female, maybe.
Yeah, I think that'll make it feel much more.
I actually had a good idea about what you said. Like, for example, if you're thinking of how to do it in terms of production, you could say have like lots of different shots of you. Like, for example, you could say this can buy you a Rolls Royce, stand outside a car shop, and have a bit of humour to it, and then say maybe it can buy you some Prada shoes, go into like a shoe store, and then say, have you got these in size 9 or something like that? Just have a joke, and then like basically see. So rather than just saying it verbally, you can actually see what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's a good idea, and that's very much in the one show style, isn't it? If you look at the Speed Humps one that you've all watched, that's a kind of style. You know, someone walking down Oxford Street or Bond Street saying, but what would £8 million buy you? That
And the
kind
thing
of
about, you know, when you put some of the lipstick and try some different stuff,
Yeah.
you actually see it rather than just hearing about how bad whatever the topic is.
Yeah, so I think maybe going with quite a light-hearted approach at the start, explaining the transfer market, and then get maybe more into the nitty-gritty, because then you might have hooked that female